Guys, it's Manager Kylie, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you some important terminology to know for tennis. So today I'm going to go through some tennis terminology. I'm going to go through some basic terms if you're new to the sport or if you're getting used to watching the sports and how the game works. I will have some videos linked both up in the iCard and at the end explaining other things about tennis, scoring, rules, things along that line. So if you're interested in those, definitely check this out. And if you're interested in more sports administration content just like this, definitely subscribe button, turn the bell so you get notified every time I upload, as I post a new video every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to dive into these different terms for tennis. So I have these sorted in a generally like alphabetical type order. So I'm just going to go through the different terms. These are a mix of terms that are meant for gameplay, just how the court is set up itself, scoring, all things like that. And if you have any questions about the terms I mentioned, or if you hear another term when watching or playing tennis that you want to know the definition of, definitely let me know and I'd be happy to explain that for you as well. So the first one is ace, and this is when you serve the ball and the other person is unable to return it and you automatically get the point. So you serve it in and they're unable to return it back to you. The next one is ad, which is short for advantage. And what this means is when you're scoring in tennis, if it's tied at 40-40, it goes back and forth, advantage to the other one person. And if they get the next point, then they win, going back and forth like that. And I have more information on that in my scoring of tennis video, but the advantage just means that it's really like you're at 40 plus an extra point, but it goes back and forth until you are able to get out of that tie. If the score is ever tied, so say for example that 40-40, or if it's 30-30, that's considered all. So you would say the score is 30 all. That just means it's a tie game, and everybody has the same score. So the side of the court, you may notice, has different sections. So the side where you would have extra lines is called the alley. This is there for if you're playing doubles. If you're playing singles, you have a smaller court than if you're playing doubles. So the alley areas, in addition to the singles court, to make it a little bit wider for the doubles court. An approach is when a player is coming up towards the net and they hit the ball as they're moving towards the net. You're going to have both forehand and backhand ways of hitting it. So your forehand is your strong side. So for most righties, that's your right side. And for your lefties, that's your left side. That's when you're hitting it in the direction your body's used to moving in. And your backhand is for the opposite side. So for your righties, it's hitting it on the left side of your body, and for your lefties, it's hitting it on the right side of your body. The court also has an end line, which is called your baseline. So this is the line where you have to serve behind, and it's the back of the court. There's one on each side. 40-40, like I mentioned before, is also called deuce. So this is when it's tied 40 all, and that's when you have to deal with the advantages and trying to figure out scoring. Doubles is when you play with two players, so it's 2-on-2. Singles is when you play 1-on-1. You also might hear a double fault, and this is what it means is when you serve the ball twice and it doesn't go in or hits the net or anything like that. That is a double fault. So once it's a double fault, it's a point for the other team or other individual. And what is a fault? That is when the ball either hits the net and doesn't go over, or isn't served incorrectly, so you get one fault, and then if it's a double fault, it's a point for the other team. You may also hear of a foot fault. This is in some other sports as well, and that's when you serve the ball and actually step over the line before you make contact. So you're not allowed to step over that baseline until you make contact with the ball. The setup of tennis involves both games and sets. So there's 6 games in a set, and the total thing is a match. You may also hear of a ground stroke, and this is when you hit the ball after the ball has bounced. So you're hitting it kind of underneath it, going up, and it's hitting from a bounced ball. A let is when you replay a point because of some sort of interference. Usually it has to do a lot of times with the net, but if there's any sort of interference and you replay the point, that's considered a let. The court is divided in the middle with a net. Sometimes in scoring, you will also play with no advantage, and what this means is just the first person to score 4 points wins. You don't have the advantage, so the tiebreaker kind of thing. But a lot of times you do play with the advantage. It just depends on the setup of the game. Within your forehand and backhand, you may also hit overhand. So this is when you're hitting generally above your head. A little bit harder control, but the ball is going up high. A lot of serves are also overhand. Pretty much everybody serves overhand in tennis. So you're serving above your head, up, hitting it down. You're also have more your underhand hits. Those are when you have your forehand and backhand are used a lot more. A poach is when you're playing doubles and you're up near the net and you actually take a ball that would probably been played by your teammate, but you hit it quickly before your teammate gets it. And the game of tennis is played with a tennis racket and a tennis ball. So it's a yellowish, greenish ball. And then you have your tennis racket. There's tons of different brands and things like that you can get for a tennis racket. So the server, when they serve the ball, they're serving it to the receiver. So that's the person receiving the ball. And then when they hit it back and forth, that is either called a rally or a volley. So the ball's going back and forth. For the team, two players or both teams hitting it back and forth, that's considered a volley or a rally. In the setup of the court, you have the server that serves behind the service line, which is also the baseline, and then you serving it to a service box. So there's two boxes on the court, and you must serve it diagonally to the opposite service box on the other side of the court. This just allows for more control. You have to get it in that short part of the court. So depending on how you hit the ball, there's a few different ways. You might hit it with a slice, so it's the way you hit the racket, you come kind of more straight across and slice at it. You might smash the ball, which means you put a little bit more force on it. There's a tons of different ways that you can hit the ball, and it just affects the spin, whether it has a back spin, a front spin, anything like that. So it affects the spin and how it's going to move and fly through the air towards your opponent. So those are some of the basic terms for tennis. If you have any questions about the terms I mentioned, or if there's any terms that you want to know more about that I didn't mention, please let me know in the comments down below. There are some terms that I might have said a definition for that actually another word has the same meaning for. They just have multiple terms for the same meaning. So just let me know if there's any term I didn't mention that you want to know more about. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys next Wednesday.